Hello, lovelies. Welcome to the Fat Joy podcast, where we talk each week about how to flourish in an anti-fat world. I'm Sophia, a fat person and professional coach who loves talking to other fat people about what it's like to live within oppressive systems that marginalize our bodies, and how we still dare to have the audacity and courage to reach towards our collective liberation and embrace our joy. Please know this is an adult content podcast, so there will be swears, we will be talking about harms we've experienced, and we will be rebelling against diet culture, anti-fatness, ableism, racism, etc. If you'd like to support the Fat Joy podcast and get bonus content as a thank you, please check us out at patreon.com/fatjoy. I am so glad you're here with us. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fat Joy podcast. I am Sophia, and I have Doctora Monica Peralta. I love that I get to roll my R's saying your name. So I was introduced to Monica through a mutual friend who said, you have to talk to Monica. and then Monica, I checked you out and I was like, oh, this is amazing. The work that you're doing. So I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to allow you to tell people what it is that you do in the world and where in the world you are.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Sophia. I'm so glad to be here. And I'm a fan of your podcast. So thank you. It is a lovely invitation. I'm a physician, certified in mindful eating and body liberation. I have a postgraduate degree in nutrition and diabetes. And my focus on nutrition is through mindful eating and intuitive eating that I'm certified with a pro counselor. I'm a non-weight centric approach. I'm a doctor who doesn't work around weight. Weight is not a behavior. So I work through behaviors, changing behaviors. Health is not determined by a number in a scale, or it's not determined on opinion base. So I work through changing behaviors that can actually bring you health and that can change or cannot change your weight. At the end, that's not my goal, as I said. I do have some advocacy work that involves raising awareness with scientific evidence on how weight stigma and fatphobia affects health. Because stigma, discrimination, oppression do affect individuals' health. So, everyone is so worried about fat people's health. So let's focus on these three things. And then we can provide a healthy environment to everyone, because weight stigma and fat phobia does not only affect fat people, because when you have all this social pressure and all this systemic oppression, thin people are going to get affected too, because they have to live up to that standard. So that's my activism in social media. And also, just talking about diabetes and nutrition from a non-weight centric approach. And that's, during direct patient care, I try to provide the safest space that I can and just listen to everyone's experiences, because the books are out there, the science is out there, but you don't need studies to know how fat people can affect.
Yeah, Monica, you do so much good. And one of the reasons I was excited to talk to you was that, as I was saying before we start recording, I've never actually met an actual physician or gone to one in Canada who had any type of weight neutral approach. Like, it is still so not commonplace here. So you bringing a bit more of a global perspective is something that I'm very interested in diving in with you about. And we're going to talk all about diabetes, because diabetes, for any fat person listening, I bet, I won't say 100%, but I'm going to bet like 99.7% of people who are fat have been threatened with diabetes by a doctor before, have been told by their family they're worried about them getting diabetes. They've internalized that and feel like, oh gosh, I feel dizzy. I feel thirsty. Do I have diabetes? Like we get really, diabetes is like the fat person's disease and we're just constantly threatened by it all the time. And so I'm very excited to dive into this with you, Monica. But before we do, I'm so curious about what your relationship and your journey with the word fat has been.
Well, I had a very privileged childhood, I'm going to say, because the weight wasn't a conversation in my household. It wasn't never about my weight, but now that I'm a deconstructed person and I've been to therapy, I can relate the pressure that my family put on me when I was very young to excel in every academic assignment that I had, because they knew somehow that because living in the body that I had, I've always been fat, and the precious little times that I've been thin, it's because I've been engaging with conducts that are harming. So let's make that clear. I've always been fat and I'm going to be fat my whole life. That's just how my body it is. But well, going back to the excellence. So my family was always about, you got to be excellent in whatever you do. You got to be the best. There's not another path for you than to being a doctor. And I think that...
Oh, it was even you had to be a doctor.
Yes, a doctor or an architect or an engineer, which are the three most common careers here in Nicaragua, where I'm based, because I didn't say that at the beginning. I'm based in Nicaragua, which is in Central America, between Honduras and Costa Rica. So there was always this, demand. And I think it's because they knew things were going to be hard for me. They were going to be harder, and I had to fight harder for the same opportunities than thin people, because thinness is a privilege, whether we want it or not, because society benefits them in every way possible. So now I can attach that to the demand of excellence. And also I realized that once I became a doctor, and then I have a 7 years practice now, because I graduated in 2015. And then, that wasn't working for me. My practice wasn't working for me. I didn't feel good prescribing what I knew. It's not going to work because I've tried it myself.
Yeah. Do you mean specifically around weight loss or other stuff, other interventions
around
as well?
Everything, around weight loss, around general care. I mean, because in medicine, somehow everything is attached to weight loss. So all the behaviors gotta end up in weight loss. That's like the final result. And I've tried everything. I mean, when I said everything, do we have time? Because
let's list.
And I've drink so many hideous things and take pills and do procedures. I did everything you can name, and I was able to get here in Nicaragua to be thin. So I was, like, what am I doing? Like, I took an oath. This is not working, and I've lost and gained the same 80 pounds, because that's my JoJo weight, the same 80 pounds. But that was reinforced because when people saw me thin, they were like, oh my God, you're such a good example for your patients, because that means what you do is working and they're going to be healthy. And deep down, I knew I wasn't being healthy, because I couldn't eat outside. I couldn't go to a party. I was, bringing my food to a baptism. I remember that, and I was like, damn, I was afraid to eat in front of people because, oh my God, what they're gonna say, like I'm supposed to be on a diet and I want, fucking bread. I don't know.
Yeah. Just give me the fucking bread.
Yeah, I want a pasta. I want rice. I don't want cauliflower rice. That it's not rice, fellows. Please. No.
I'm with you.
That's a lie. So it was like, how can I keep profiting from something that it's not even working for me? So how the hell am I going to say to someone, hey, this is the way to go? And if you're not doing it, or if you're not getting the results I'm getting, well, that's your fault. Am I not supposed to be the doctor? Am I not supposed to have the solutions and the healthy ways for you to achieve your goals? I mean, yes, I'm the doctor, but the goals are yours. I'm meaning to an end. I can provide you the information. So I stopped for a while and I just was like, okay, I gotta think. And that's a privilege too, taking a time. It affects your economy.
Like you stopped your practice?
Yes, I stopped my practice.
And at this point, had you known about fat liberation or anything?
I was starting.
Just starting. Okay.
Starting because we were in the pandemic. So it was the TikTok boom. And somehow TikTok knew I was ready to a change. I don't know. I mean, God bless TikTok. But somehow TikTok knew I was bored as hell. And then, well, I listened to fat activism, race discrimination, how feminism is attached. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And why am I not in this? So I began to read and invest as hell. And that's a really important point that I want to touch, that this is an investment, that I am 100% clear that it's a privilege. First of all, taking a break from your practice because you don't have an income. As I said before, the diet industry is a very good business. I mean, billions and billions of dollars alone in the USA. And when you say it, you have the key to weight loss. Patients are gonna come. I mean, like slice to food. So that's the second privilege. And the third is that you have to make an investment in knowledge. Yes, I went to medical school. Yes, I've already, for that time, I already got my 2 postgraduate degrees. So I knew that centric approach, that weight-centric approach. I knew that framework, but it wasn't working. So I have the knowledge. But what can we change? So there goes the second investment. There are certifications, there are another studies, there are the subscriptions to journals, and being able to access to all of these studies, because these studies are there. I mean, people love numbers and statistics and all of that, and I love it too. I mean, I'm a doctor, so but the papers cost money, and that's something people don't realize. So it was a hell of an investment. So, and also you have fear. I mean, I live in a country, as I said, in Central America, which is, the common Latin America. Oh, hey, my fatty, how are you? That's all Latin America. Latin American, like, oh my God, you look so fat. Like, you look way thinner before.
Oh my gosh.
And those comments are very, very normal and very common. And if you fight back, if you have an answer, oh my God, this crystal generation.
Oh, crystal generation. I've never heard of that. Like breakable crystal?
Yes. Like, because they can say anything to you because you're going to break down.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Because you're not as hard as they were in their generation.
They're like the diamond generation or something?
I don't know. I have fucking coal generation because, they're born. And so they're always like, oh, you can handle, a little joke. And I mean, it's not a joke. You don't know what am I going through. You don't know if I have, I don't know, an eating disorder. You don't know if I'm engaging with behaviors that are not healthy. And you telling me that I'm fat, that I'm thinner, it's just, making me engaging more with those behaviors. And that's Latin American culture. And you're not going to talk back to your aunt, to your grandma. So you just got to keep silence. And if you fight back, well, you're not going to be invited to the next barbecue. So I've been excluded.
There's a no-win.
Yeah, no, you're not going to win. I mean, you can tell them, because I sometimes think people want fat people to go around life with the labs. Like I want to make a t-shirt of myself with all my labs. my glucose, my cholesterol, everything. And I'm like, hey, I'm good. Thank you for worrying for my health. I'm good.
Right. And just wear your blood test results on
Or in a chain. I don't know. Let's go as Snoop Dogg on this. Like, I don't know.
And here's the thing too. I totally get that because I'm very privileged to have no, like my blood work is perfect. I've got no issues with cholesterol or triglycerides or any of that. And at the same time, healthism exists, right? And so even if I did have high cholesterol or high triglycerides or whatever, it still wouldn't mean that I'm not worthy of respect, right? So healthism gets in there too with all of that. It's like, prove to me that you're like marginally okay as a fat person because you don't have any health problems. It's like, well, but what if I do have health problems and I do need healthcare? Does that makes me like a bad fat person suddenly? Like, it's very insidious how it gets in there.
Yes, and because of healthism, even if you're healthy right now, they're gonna say, well, yet. You're not sick yet.
That's it. Well, you must be pre-diabetic.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. Everyone is pre-diabetic who is fat.
That doesn't even exist, you know?
Please. Oh, my God. Okay. We're gonna come back to this because I've been reading and hearing about that is all just fucking made up. This whole pre-diabetic thing is made up.
Inflict fear. That's it. Because it's a death sentence to everyone. And as you were saying, you know, good and bad fat. So I always say that I was a good fat because I always was trying to lose weight. I was always counting calories, you know, checking my portions, all these applications that are shit. So I was a good fat, you know. Now that I've worked on myself and my practice and everything, I'm a bad fat. And I don't deserve respect. I'm not worthy of people respect. And I just want to make something clear. It doesn't matter if you're sick. It doesn't matter if you're healthy, if, I don't know, if you're tall, you're short, you're black, you're white. I mean, it doesn't matter whatever characteristic you have. You deserve respect because you're a human being. I mean, that's the end. You know, period, point, close that door.
I will never understand why that is so hard for so many people to understand.
And the question is, I mean, you don't know any thin people that are sick because I want that same energy when thin people goes to the hospital and they get sick. They are costing money to the public system. They are costing money, you know, so, okay. So you can spend money on them, but when I go to the public system and I pay the same taxes as they do, I'm not worthy.
Because you did it to yourself, Monica. You chose to be fat.
Yes, I didn't know I was on my mother womb making my ADN and my biology. I mean, I knew I was smart, but not that smart. I mean, that's genius level.
Oh my gosh. So pandemic hit, you're doing this research, you're diving deep, you're taking classes, you're kind of going through your like fat liberation awakening, I guess, or deepening consciousness. So then what did you do with your medical practice? How did that start to shift your practice?
So I certified in mindful eating, body liberation, and body trust, and intuitive eating. Because I'm a woman, you know, misogyny exists. And when you're fat, it's worst. So I gotta make sure I hold those degrees. Because sometimes people think I just roll out of bed and say, okay, I'm done making an effort. I'm done having willpower. You know, I'm just gonna fat liberate me. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You know, like I just woke up and the sun shined on me and I said, let's be a happy fat kid. No, and it didn't happen like that. It was hours of crying, hours of forgiving myself, and actually writing a letter to my patients, telling them how sorry I was.
You did?
I did, because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do it, and tell them, I know this sounds crazy, like, because I know how people are. Because so I said, you know, this sounds crazy, but I gotta say that. And now I'm going to work within this framework. But I'm sure you are going to be hesitant about it. And I can totally understand if you don't want to go through this road. But I just want to say I'm sorry because I know how I made you feel, because it's how I've been I've been making me myself feel like that. So I just wrote that letter, sent it.
Wow.
I received so many mails back, positive ones. Of course, I received negative ones, and like people saying, "No, you just lose faith. You just," and then that I didn't have any willpower. But the positive ones were like, "Okay, let's change together," or you know what? Okay, thanks God, because I wasn't able to keep this up. So let's do this new. I've tried everything already on a diet industry, so why not one more thing? And apparently, or finally, this was the last thing. So a healthy living, just a more fulfilled lifestyle.
I'm just so in awe, Monica, right now that I don't even have words for how much it means that a doctor would write to their patients and say, "Hey, I was wrong." Like, talk about breaking power systems with that letter, because doctors have so much power. I think this is part of the real challenge. Doctors in medical school get taught a certain way, then they're given a white coat, and then every patient who walks in basically views what they say as like the only truth. And I grew up in a medical family. My dad was a surgeon. So like I worked in his office. I was like the medical secretary, and like I would see how people would believe everything that he said. And my mom's a physio, and they would believe everything she said. So there's like immense power. So for a doctor to be like, "All right, everyone, we're switching gears. We're going to do a pivot, and here's the reasons why." That is like, that brought tears to my eyes when you said you did that, because what a gift to people.
I mean, I owe them. I saw it like that. I owe them, and I owe them to I owe to myself, because that was the only reivindication I needed. And I didn't know at that time if I gonna be able to support myself.
Like, would all your patients leave you? That was the worry? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I couldn't. I couldn't imagine what was gonna happen. But I said, I don't care if I have to do something else beside, my practice.
You'll go be an architect.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go and do something else, a career. And I actually, did a small business beside my practice, because I was 100% sure that patients were not gonna flew into my practice, because it's like every time I have someone on my Instagram or on my WhatsApp or my email telling me, "Hey, I want to lose weight. You're a nutritionist. Can you help me out?" And first I was like, "I don't work with weight loss. I'm sorry. I work with behaviors." But then I realized, because this is a long way to go, that people are always, like when you say you want to go through weight loss or all of that, people are treated like bad. Like, you gotta do this, and if you don't do this, you are lacking of willpower, you're not disciplined enough. So I said to myself, okay, these people have been rejected through their whole life. These people have been, violently treated. And okay, so I'm not gonna just said no and close the door. So I did something, and I still do it, that I have a 15-minute meeting for free, where I explain how can we work, but I make it clearly, that weight loss, it's not the goal. We can change biomedical markers. We can change behaviors. Health is determined by more than 300 determinants. Some of them, you can change them, you can modify them. Other ones are gonna be what they are. You cannot change ADN biology.
Right? I just want you to say that again, because this is something that is not understood, that the diet industry does not want us to know. So there are over 300 determinants of health, some of which we can control, some of which we can't. And would you say, because what we're always told is like food and exercise is all that's needed. Are those only 2 out of the 300?
There are 2 out of 19% of the 300s. It's very, very minimal. I mean, things as your environment are bigger than food and exercise. And you know what? Exercise has a lot of more benefits from you than weight loss. Because sometimes when you say to people, "Oh, I'm a non-weight centric doctor," so they're like, "Oh, she's just gonna tell me that I can eat pizza every day, the whole day," and I'm like, if you feel the urge to eat pizza every day, the whole day, it's because you have been restricting yourself. Because no patient has come to me and said to me, "Monica, I feel the urge to binge in some broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I need a cauliflower right now. Give me some zucchini. I cannot live without my zucchini." No one has said that to me. Why?
No.
Because vegetables are healthy, because they are allowed. So the more you restrict yourself, the more you're gonna want those food. So we work on that. That in intuitive eating, it's called a honeymoon phase. And the big question is always, how long is gonna last? And my answer is always like, how long have you been on a diet? How long have you been dieting? So don't worry about how long the honeymoon phase gonna last, because you have been given time to diet, so you're gonna give time to this. And it's the same in diabetes. I mean, when you work in a non-weight centric approach in diabetes, people think that you're not gonna control glucose or it peaks or everything. And yes, you're gonna control it. Diabetes, it's an illness, but it doesn't define you. You are not the diabetes. I mean, I hate the word diabetic, because I think as obesity and overweight, they have some stigma, and they are a death sentence to everyone. So you're a person, you're a human being who has this condition that you can work. And it's not going to be through restriction. It's going to be through nutritional education, because no one knows more about nutrition and macronutrients than a chronic dieter. I mean, chronic dieters, we know everything.
Everything. I mean, calorie counts, carb counts. Everything. Yeah.
But we only know and use that knowledge to restrict. But what about if we use that knowledge to inflate in how our body responds to the food, so we can maintain the glucose where we want it? Okay, so I know you know carbohydrates and protein, fats and calories and everything, but do you know actually how to combine them, or instructions on how to eat it? Like in what order? You don't have to skip dessert because you are diabetic. The only reason for you to skip dessert is because you're full and you don't want dessert.
I thought you said because you're a fool. And I'm like, you are a fool if you skip dessert. No, I'm just kidding. But because you're full. Yeah. So let's talk about diabetes. So I also was reading recently that even the distinction between type 1 and type 2 diabetes is mostly artificial as well. Am I remembering that correctly?
I think they relate that because of the origins. Because in Latin America, we say that one type is hunger, when you have everything, and the other one is you don't have hunger and you have everything. But you have to make that distinction, because the treatments are different. But what it doesn't exist, I mean, I know it's a common use and everything, but pre-diabetes, it's not a thing, and it's only has been popularized because the Association of Diabetes said So we need a term for people who are almost there, but not there. And it's actually not considered by the by the World Health Organization. They haven't accepted yet. So this is something only of the Association of Diabetes.
And did they do that because when someone's, I guess, is this the A1C levels? Is it the blood sugar levels? So when those get high enough, not quite to count as diabetic, but high enough, they made that phrase pre-diabetic in order to trigger something, like to trigger some type of treatment, or is it tied with pharmaceutical companies? Like, why would they have made that?
Because they have to, make yourself have fear of being fat. When you're a thin person and they tell you, oh, you have pre-diabetes. Oh my God, I cannot get any more fatter. And when you're fat, you gotta lose weight because you are in that range where the things can go really, really wrong. But the thing is that range is determined by many factors, biology, and if you have someone in your family on first degree that had diabetes or that is currently with diabetes, you're gonna be more, exposed to that. But what are the chances you actually develop diabetes? 2%.
What? 2% of all people who are quote unquote diagnosed with pre-diabetes or being pre-diabetic? Wow.
And if you work with changing the behaviors and the habits of people, you're not going to even get to that 2%. No.
And here's what's so interesting. What I'm hearing in there and what I can imagine that happens is, we'll just use me as an example. So I go to the doctor, they say, oh, you're pre-diabetic. You need to, and then they say, you need to lose weight, right? So that you don't become fully diabetic. So you don't become a person with diabetes. So then what happens for a fat person is you're told that, then you think, oh my God, my health is at stake. I'm going to die because the doctor basically told me. And now you start to weight cycle. So you go on a crash diet, you start to lose weight. Then of course, because dieting does not work, restriction does not work, then you gain weight. So you actually I imagine there's a percentage that you end up, it becomes like this self-fulfilling prophecy. You respond to this pre-diabetic diagnosis and then you weight cycle until, because I don't know, but I think this is true for a lot of people, certainly true for me. Every time I restricted and lost weight, I would gain back all the weight plus more. And it just goes up and up and up and up. So like it creates it.
There's a famous study that is from O'Hara that it says that 95% of people that goes on diet, they're gonna regain the weight. And they call these 5% that people that they don't unicorns, or that you don't know how they kept the weight off. So people don't realize how weight cycling and JoJo dieting, it causes more harm than good. Every time you go on a diet, because we have this, I don't know if you know about set point, the theory of set point. So every time you go on a diet, that set point, it's gonna get higher and higher and higher. So I'm sorry, but diets are making you fatter.
Yes. One way I've heard it said is the greatest predictor of weight gain is attempted weight loss. I'm like the poster child for this. Monica, I'm so frustrated. Like, I really wish I had known this back in my teens, but because like, again, I don't think I'm unique. I think so many of us started dieting. I was binge eating since I was 12. I have binge eating disorder and my weight just went up and down, up and down. And then every time it went up, it was up a little more. I gained and lost the same 100, 150 pounds over and over and over again. And every time it was like, 80, gain 90, lose 90, gain 110, lose 110, gain 150, until I finally stopped. But that was like 150 pounds later. Like, because I'm an overachiever, Monica.
we all are. But because, you're always going to gain 15 to 10 more pounds because your body is a well-oiled machine. And he's gonna be like, girl, I don't know where you're gonna go again on this roller coaster, and you are keeping me hungry, and I'm gonna have my storage. Like, because uh, dieting is an inanition, for the body. So the body thinks they are in like a war situation. I don't know if you know about Minnesota studies.
The starvation studies?
Yes, the starvation. So after the restriction, they ate almost 10,000 calories. They were more interested in recipes, in cooking shows. And that was in the 50s, and that's just the same, because I remember when I was on these dieting cycles, I loved to cook. And until these days, I love to cook because I got so good at, because I always wanted to switch ingredients for low calorie ingredients.
Yes.
So, I had to, change everything. 100 calories wasn't enough. So when you're restricting yourself, you're always going to be thinking about food. Diets are making you more harm than good. Diets are supposed to be this key to health, and it's not. Weight cycling is slowing your metabolism. It's making you a risk factor for more cardiovascular diseases. So it's not only about that you're going to be fatter. And I know that people is afraid of that because, of course, it's the worst who want to be treated badly. So people know about that treatment. They just don't do anything about it because it's not affecting them yet, and they don't want to get to that point. But the more you diet, the more consequence you have, the more risk factors you have to be affected by endocrine diseases.
So that's so interesting. Yes. Oh, I wish this was so much more public knowledge, which again is why we're doing a podcast about it.
That's what we say in science. Correlation and causation, it's not the same. Yellow teeth has been related to lung cancer. Does everyone that has yellow teeth are gonna develop a lung cancer? No, some people just have bad mouth hygiene. Bald men are more tend to have a cardiovascular disease. Every bald man have a cardiovascular disease? No, and we're not going around asking them.
No. But fat people and diabetes.
Oh, why you don't have your lab in your shirt? Like, I need to see that glucose in fasting.
Prove to me.
Prove to me that you're healthy. Still, because of course you're going to get sick, because you're fat.
Yeah. So how do you begin? Because, again, the biggest challenge, I think, for fat people believing this to be true, as well as everyone else believing it to be true, is that people literally we've been told so often that we just believe it. We believe it now. Yeah, fat people get diabetes. So how do you begin with your clients? How do you begin to break apart that belief? Because I imagine that just goes so deep.
So they already have a diagnosis, from another doctor. I like to revise the whole clinical history because sometimes doctors are getting lazy and they don't ask enough. They just see the patient and they're like, okay, fat, high glucose, bye, diabetes.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, sometimes people are just like that. Like, okay, so this is a fat person who has high glucose in one test and the A1C alter. Oh, yes, this is diabetes. But you don't know the conditions that this exam was made. So if it was a stress-free zone, it was a hard week for the patient. Does the patient have had any situation recently of a stress, of loss, of grieving? All these things alter glucose.
It does?
Yes. stress and alter your glucose.
Interesting. And so they would basically be prescribed insulin and just start to live with a chronic illness that they might not even have.
And you're not going to question the doctor.
No, this is the other problem. Oh my God, there's so many layers, Monica.
You're not going to question him. He's saying that. And besides, if you're fat, you earn it. So it's your fault. But what about if we say it like, okay, you have this condition, like you could have had any condition, and everyone can have diabetes. Everyone. There is no a disease or an illness that it's only for one type of body. That doesn't exist until this day.
Yeah.
Until this day that is being recorded. But so, okay, if you're a patient, you can and you should ask your doctor, okay, I am a diabetic. What will you say if I were a thin person?
Yes.
And he will say, well, thin people, they don't usually have diabetes. And you're going to be like, okay, let's, for a minute, imagine we live in Alice Wonderland and thin people have diabetes. What will you say? Will you respect them still? Will you give them a dignified treatment? Will you educate them instead of just saying, do this, and this is the way to go?
Right.
Because when you set unattainable goals, that is only gonna cause stress in your patient. And when patients don't get that goal that in the first place you knew wasn't unattainable, they're gonna get discouraged.
Right.
And that's another cycle. You don't get what you want, you go down the rabbit hole, you're gonna try it one more time, you don't get it, but let's break that cycle. You need nutritional education. You need to know what nutrients you need. Do you need to restrict carbohydrates? No, your brain needs carbohydrates. That's your fuel. You're not gonna give a Tesla diesel, so you're not gonna give yourself a plate without carbohydrates. Okay, if you are a gas car, you're gonna get gas. So baby girl, you are a Ferrari,
Yeah.
You are a Porsche, and you need that gas, you need that fuel. But you can learn ways to combine them with some protein, with some fiber. And also, people are so disconnected of their satiety, and inner cues.
Yes.
That sometimes I've had patients that I ask them, okay, so you were hungry when you ate all of this? Like in a binge episode. I wasn't. I was bored. Okay, so what can we do? What tools can we implement when you are bored rather than eating? All hungers are emotionals for me. I know that by both in the science, we have 7 hungers, but I think all the hungers are emotional because all hungers have this emotional component. So let's treat that. And as a diabetic person, you have to have the knowledge to be able to stop, listen to your body, and give your body what it needs, the way you have been retaught in the practice to combine these foods. If you go out and you're extremely hungry, you're not gonna think twice before ordering all this food. What about if you know that you're going out at 7 p.m.? Let's have a snack, before going out. Are you hungry? You're not that hungry. How do you feel when you eat so much? Or how do you feel when you eat these particularly foods? Because sometimes people, food addiction doesn't exist. So let's make that clear. Food addiction doesn't exist. But sometimes people think, I'm addicted to pizza. I'm addicted to pasta. I'm addicted to all these so-called bad foods. You are not addicted to them. You have been restraining yourself for them. That's the appeal. Restrict yourself from vegetables and fruits. You're gonna be craving for them. I mean, you want a tomato.
Yeah. Or cauliflower rice. Monica, can I ask you about insulin? So when you work with clients, so let's say they do actually, so here's what I'm hearing. So let me just set this up. It sounds like if someone comes to you and they say, I've been diagnosed with diabetes, it sounds like you do a deeper dive into their history. I imagine you probably do some additional testing, given what you said about they could have had stress that could have raised their A1C levels. There could have been other things going on. So you kind of like confirm that, yes, they do indeed have those levels. And then from there, you teach them about nutrition so they can understand their own kind of rising and falling glucose and how it works within their body. Do they still need insulin then? Like what's the role of insulin? What does it play?
Medicine, pills, insulin, they are the only thing we can thank the pharmaceutical industry. Because you are taking a pill or you're taking insulin, it doesn't mean you have failed. It doesn't mean that all your behavioral changes are not doing something. But insulin resistance and diabetes is a condition, a physiological condition. Insulin is the key for the cells. So imagine you are in a residence and all the people who lives in the residence are outside and their control key doesn't work. That's insulin.
Oh, okay.
The people that are inside the houses, which are cells, they don't know what's happening and why people cannot go inside. That is because insulin cannot open the door. So energy cannot go inside. That's physiology. So you have to take some medicine. Can you go off medicine after some time with these behavioral changes? Maybe we can lower the dose. That would be the goal, but we don't have goals. We want to treat what is right now happening. And right now, you're having this problem. So I cannot focus on something that is not even happening yet. And that goes to everything. I mean, if you're going to go around life worrying about everything that could happen, you're not going to live. And you're going to be stressed. And stress raises the cortisol, which raises the allostatic charge, which give you diseases. So fat people are getting more diseases than thin people because they are under so much stress or because they are fat. Sometimes people they don't relate stress or the weight stigma, the weight discrimination we go through with our diseases. During the pandemic, there was, a huge wave of hate for the fat community because we were costing the system so much money, and because fat people doesn't deserve a ventilator because they did that to themselves. So you gotta give them to someone else and blah, 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 blah. And that just raised the weight bias. And there's actually proof, evidence, numbers that there are another biases that have gone lower and weight bias have gone higher.
It has. Yep. Yeah. That's the Harvard implicit bias test that has those results. Yeah. It's really scary. And you're right. COVID, all of that I hate the O word, but the obesity propaganda that was out there was just horrible. And
there was never proven.
No, it wasn't proven at all.
It wasn't proven at all. And I always said, when I heard about that, I've always said, do you think fat people weight more before going to the hospital because they know how they're going to be treated. So their illness is going to get worse because they're not seeking attention, first time. So if I'm a fat person and I have, I don't know, a pain in my abdomen, do I immediately gonna go to the hospital and seek for attention? Hell no. Dude, I'm gonna wait, the more the merrier, because I know how they're gonna treat me. And there has been so many proven cases of misdiagnosis, even cancers.
Yes.
And people actually have died. So you don't need numbers. You gotta listen to fat people.
Yeah. Yeah. Believe the stories that we're telling you. Yeah. I mean, it's so true.
I get so angry, I get so like, people are gonna see the video. I'm not gonna be just like punching the screen.
Punch the screen. Punch the screen. This is punch worthy. It's so frustrating. And here's the thing. I don't know. Like, I know all of this. I know all of this, speaking for myself. And I still also wait because I just don't want to fucking deal with having to try to educate my doctor. So it drives my partner crazy because he's like, would you just go to the doctor? You're in pain. I'm like, no, I will self-heal. And like, then I could become one of those statistics so easily because I know what I'm getting into. And I am going in with immense privilege. I'm white. I'm educated. I am, very overconfident and will call a doctor on their bullshit and fight with them. But it's like, I still like, it's just the amount of stress that we have to carry around on top of like, and having that impact our health and how that is totally ignored is just immensely frustrating. And diabetes is like such the perfect example of how that happens.
Diabetes, I think, is the perfect example, as you said, of weight bias and fat phobia. Because when someone when a fat person tells you, hey, you know what, I went to the doctor because I was having these symptoms and, I'm a diabetic. Oh, well, of course, Monica, I mean, what were you expecting? Or the other part, when someone loses so much weight because of diabetes, because losing weight is a symptom of diabetes, they get congratulated.
Yeah, right?
And I mean, people actually say, oh my God, I wish I had that.
I was just going to say, I used to wish to have a disease.
Let's talk about Ozempic. Thank you, diet culture, for making it a trend. And now people who actually need it, they have to buy it. So expensive, like I think it's 3 or 4 more times highly priced that it was.
That's Novo Nordisk, by the way. That is the evil company, Novo Nordisk, who has done that.
If you're able to put your hands on some Ozempic, because people are, putting that on their bodies, and I'm like, do you know what you're doing? Like, do you know about hyperinsulinemia? That's a condition. That is something that is affecting your body. So when people tell me weight loss is about health, baby, it's not. It's about aesthetics. And I get it. I'm not going to blame you because I know the work it takes. But don't tell me for a second you care about fat people's health. Because you're always saying people who are fat have more diseases, but you got to see the context. There's always so much more context. And things you can see outside your own bubble and privilege. And, internalized fat phobia, it's a thing. I have a patient that told me there's no worse enemy than a fat person trying to lose weight to a fat person who is just living life. Because they're going to give you tips left and right. They're going to say, no, you got to do this, you got to do that. They have medical degrees and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, yes, because I was that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, nobody was asking me. And I was like, you should have some light Coke. You don't have to stop having Coke, but maybe you can have Diet Coke. You don't have to stop having rice, but you can change it for cauliflower rice.
Maybe you can park at the back of the parking lot and walk a little more, like as if.
And that's a privilege because you're assuming I have a car.
Right?
And people talk from their privilege. And fat people doesn't have that many privilege. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. And if you, as a fat person, have a disease, it's 10 times worse.
Oh, I know. I have endometriosis and I just came back from a surgeon who I've been waiting 2 years to see. And he basically said, well, this is a good news scan. Like the endometrioma hasn't adhered to any other organs. You're actually really great. But when you hit menopause, you're probably going to die of cancer because of your obesity. He literally said that to me, Monica. And I was like, hang on, hold up. Are you telling me that every fat person with a uterus is going to die of endometrial cancer because of our fat cells? And anyway, we have a follow-up to continue this conversation.
Can I write to that doctor and just give him studies, sources for that? It is proven actually that OBGYN is one of the most weight bias specialties in medicine.
100%. I've had endo. I've been going through endo, not treatment, but like figuring out how to manage my symptoms for like 2.5 years now. And I've been to multiple gynecologists and they have all been horrible.
And yes, and there are always going to be like fat cells, interleukins, cytokines. They love big words and everything. And there's actually a chart that was published that I don't like the O word either, but that obesity and overweight has 8,000 factors that have to be taken on into function for you to have certain weight. I can share this, and if you look at it, it's giant. It's not only because you ate too much, because you didn't do exercise, because then there's fat people who exercise a lot, who is very, very healthy. And let's have an example as Lizzo. She's vegan, she's healthy, she gives performances for hours.
Hours. I saw her.
If that's not the peak of health, I don't know what is. I'm sorry, but have you seen her? That woman with her flute, I think it's called, and dancing and
all the dancers who are fat too. Like
that's lung capacity at its finest, and she's still getting hate comments about, oh, you're such, because they gotta be passive aggressive. You're such a talented Black woman and you have so much representation for us, but only if you were thinner, you would be a great example for our kids. What more of a great example you want from a successful person? Let's not go far. Rihanna in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first pregnant woman doing a Super Bowl performance, and everyone just could talk about the belly. It's a pregnancy belly. It's a postpartum belly. Does she eat before the concert? And it was like, really? That's what you kept on your mind?
Not her talent, not that she was groundbreaking. I know.
No, it was all about the belly. And it's also, you can translate that to diabetes and fat people. What they can tell you, they're having the most healthy behaviors because they have learned so much, going to a non-weight centric doctor and talking about nutrition and understanding your disease. It's such an amazing tool that we take for granted, because when you know about your disease, you're not afraid of it. What you can see, you are not afraid of it. And you know how to work with it. Like when you have a TV, I always say this to my patients. Okay, you buy a TV. You don't throw out the instructions. You're like, okay, this goes here, this is happening. You don't throw out the instructions. So don't throw out all this education that we're going to have. We're going to reconnect. We're going to rehabituate. We're going to, rewire everything we know, because now we have this. And maybe in the next years, we're going to have another thing. I don't know. I don't have a fucking, blue ball with all whatever's going to happen with you. Like, I don't know.
Do you know what I just realized, Monica, that what you're doing that is so powerful? It just really hit me that unlike, I would say in my experience, all doctors, but I would say a majority of doctors, you're not gatekeeping knowledge. Again, you're like dispensing with the power system. You're actually helping your clients understand what's going on within their bodies, helping them become more embodied, becoming aware of their own sensations, learning how to work with their own body systems. Like you're not interested in keeping that from them just so that you can be an authority.
And I'm not interested in keep them feeling guilty. Tough love motivation, guilty motivation, it's not gonna work. People are from a place of fear. People are not going to change. People are not going to change their behaviors from a place of fear.
Or shame.
That's going to happen for a month, maybe 2, but that's just another cycle. So if you want something that is, sustained through your life, you have to be clear why you're making those changes. It's easy to go to a doctor and the doctor just said, hey, this is your recipe. This is your insulin units. This is go. You have to lose 30 pounds before we meet again. Maybe that patient is not going to come back because they didn't lose the 30 pounds. And then they're going to have a mistreatment, their diabetes it's going to get worse. Diabetes can get worse with the proper management and can develop in more serious problems. But somehow I think it's our fault as a health professional. It's not because they're fat. It's because I'm a fucking fatphobic weighted bias doctor that I'm just feeling them guilty, making them feel guilty. And I'm just saying, you have this. But what is this? What is happening inside of me? It's because of me. What did I do?
I'm going to make a guess. You tell me if I'm right. I'm going to guess that you hear a lot. But Monica, you're just saying that because you're fat.
All day, every day. It's because I have no more willpower. It's because I don't have more energy in me.
Yeah. So now you're just taking all this research and making it conform to your story.
Because I love to spend my money on research.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's one of my favorite hobbies. But it's not. It's because, when people tell me that, I'm like, okay, how many diets have you been on? 13, 14. Okay, if diets work, why have you been doing them so much? If you buy a TV and it doesn't work, you go to the store and change it. You don't keep that TV. Or it's your fault because the TV doesn't work. No, it's the store fault. So the same as diets. If you want to tell me weight loss can be maintained, there's no proven method of weight loss that can maintain through your life.
Not even bariatric surgery, which is people like, no, that for sure you go up. Yeah.
And you're willing to lose some part of yourself actually being cut off, but not be fat. And why are you so afraid of being fat? Because you know how we are mistreated. But you keep putting that out there instead of, oh my God, you know what? Maybe I don't have to cut off half of my stomach and maybe I just can make some changes because yes, I'm a health professional. So I do care about health. Myself, me. If I have a patient, it wouldn't be my patient because if you don't want to health, like why will you go to a health professional? But health system has taught us that everyone wants to be healthy. We don't know that. And we shouldn't care about other people's wishes. Let people live. And if it's about the public health system, it's not that good, mate. So don't worry about it. It's not gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe.
And Monica, are you? Did I get this right? Are you the only weight neutral, fat positive doctor in Nicaragua?
I will say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that feel lonely?
Lonely.
Yeah.
It's a lonely place to be in it. It's a hard place because it doesn't matter what I say or how many degrees I have. I'm always going to be having fight back or push back. And because there's no another thin person saying that. So I'm always like in the defense because I have to be. I'm not gonna tolerate any disrespect in my page. I always want my page to be a safe place, but I also have the pressure to be, like this example of health because, okay, you're saying you can be fat and healthy, but show me that health. So sometimes it's hard. And I catch myself sometimes like I'm having an ice cream and I want to, it's just like put the ice cream stars and I'm like, okay, wait, no, because people are going to think, I'm not healthy. And then I'm like, what are you doing? I don't care. And I put my fucking ice cream. And that's it. I mean, haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
If you are not feeling it, unfollow. I'm not in this to become an influencer. I'm not in this to be famous, popular, because I know that non-diet approach is not gonna get me there, and I don't want it actually. But it's been lonely, and it really. I think I've never said this before to anyone. It's sad because I know I'm gonna die eventually. Not of being fat, people. Eventually, I'm gonna die. And I know that I'm not gonna see the change, the actual change, like in universities, in continuing education. I'm not gonna be able to see that, but I'm just happy that maybe I am paving the way for other folks to be like, you know what? She's not alone. Nobody has said yet, but if it's working for one person, because I get so many DMs like, you know what? First time I bought a bathing suit and I'm gonna wear it to the beach. And they send me pictures. And I don't post any of that because, privacy matters. But I have so many DMs. And so I'm always like, you know what? It doesn't matter the hate I get. It doesn't matter if they think I'm promoting obesity, if they think I'm promoting all this non-healthy stuff, and they wanna say I'm not an actual doctor and everything. It doesn't matter because it's making a change in some person's life that I don't even know, because not everyone's gonna write to me and say it, but I see my people just getting more open and like, okay, explain this better. So I've understand that I cannot be that upfront. I am. So I am upfront and I'm like, boom. But I have come to an understanding that I cannot be like that. So I'm just like slower, moving slower, but in that direction. And I know that I'm in the right path. And it took me a lot of money, patience, and everything to get to that path. And I'm not going back. It doesn't matter how much hate and how much people can call me whatever they want. They call me the fat loser because I didn't keep the weight off. Because as I told you before, I've been on weight cycling and on diets. And actually, I started my Instagram page with my weight loss journey.
Yes.
So I was known here in my country as the before and after, as the perfect before and after. And I deleted everything, of course. It was hard going through all of that. But it was, the same process as forgiving that Monica and the harm she was doing, because I don't care about what people say. We are doing harm as health professional if we are only focusing on weight. You didn't go to medical school to 7 through 8 years to only learn weight loss. Nutrition is a 5 years career, and you learn so much, not only weight loss. It's also reductionist,
Yeah.
Just to talk about weight loss. So I just come to the conclusion that I'm gonna take the hate. But what I was telling, I just went hulu, is that I get sad because I do so much work outside my country.
Yes.
Like this podcast and ASDA and the opportunity with Amanda for NYU alumni, like what? That was like reaching for the star. Just someone from NYU knew that I existed.
Right?
Yes. That what?
But why not within your own country? Yeah.
So it saddens me that I know that I'm gonna start crying. It saddens me that I'm doing all this work and I'm putting all this work out outside my country, but I cannot force people, and I just come to an end with that. So of course I still make my content and everything, and I'm gonna keep my advocacy work and my activism. I'm not gonna stop. As I said in my stories earlier, if you don't like this type of content, unfollow me. Do yourself a favor and unfollow me. I don't need to hear your shit comments about me. You don't need to hear me. So just unfollow me. It's free, in this recession that we are, it's the only thing free. Do it. But it saddens me that I know that I can maybe doing more, but I can not do more.
Yeah.
Because it's mental health first. Like, I gotta protect myself. And I love my country, of course, and I want to do all the work, but people can be really harsh. And I think I'm okay with getting the hate and getting all that pushback. But sometimes I just want to scroll down the rack and that's it.
It takes a toll. Yeah, it does. I mean, you're so right. Like, there is a sadness. I think this is something that a lot of activists feel, is that there's so much that is that needs to be done, and it feels like this huge mountain, and we're just like at base camp. We're just like trying to take some steps forward, and I can feel the sadness of that, and how you're not able to have the impact that you would love to have within your own country. I feel that.
And also it's funny, I'm going to say, because I have to laugh, because they want to put my work into perspective, because they're like, do you know someone in Nicaragua who has been with her, or that is healthy because it has been Monica's practice? And I'm like, first of all, I don't have to give you my patients list. And that's also, the same point. It saddened me that I have my practice out there in so many countries that I've never been to, and it's because of social media and all of these platforms like yours. Many people are going to listen to this and they're going to be like, oh, where is she, or something like that. And that's how I get patients and everything. And then, well, do I wish that would be as easy as getting here in Nicaragua? Well, of course, but, well, at least people are listening and seeing my content and starting to question the things. And that's a big step. As I said, I know that I'm going to be long gone until there's a, actual change in the whole world. But, well, I mean, in Nicaragua. But, if my nieces are going to grow in a safer environment, I'm going to take that shit. Like, it's okay. I don't want kids, so I'm not leaving a safer place to my kids, but I'm leaving it to my nieces and nephews. And if my friends can live in a more judgment-free zone because I have to take hate and shit, bring it on. Like, I'm built for this. I have the personality. I have the attitude. I have the comebacks, baby. I have all the comebacks. Like, you write me a mean comment, sometimes I'm just going to block you, but sometimes I want to be like, let's have some fun. Welcome to the rodeo. Like, I'm going to eat you up. Like,
that is so good.
Oh my God. You don't know how much fun I have. Like, it keeps me young because, you have to laugh.
You do, because they're ridiculous. The comments are...
I would be sad the whole time. So I'm just like, welcome to the rodeo. We're going to have some fun. And then when I quote science and everything, they're like, oh, you made that up. And I'm like, this is at the actual NHS, the one you love, the WHO. What? I mean, it's different from yours? Yes, but they're out there. So it's funny. For me, it's just keeping me young. And Of course, I have bad days, like every activist, and sometimes I take things personally. But for me, it's just, power to my brain. I think I'm never gonna get Alzheimer because I keep my brain moving so fast because of all the comebacks that I have to give. And I think my brain is so well wired and oiled that if I get Alzheimer, it's because of my family, and I'm gonna blame them. I'm gonna blame biology because I'm replying to comments left and right.
Wow, good for you. Good. I just delete. I'm like, I don't have time. Not that I don't have time, but I feel like I'm very if people are not bringing any curiosity or open-mindedness, I'm not interested in talking to them.
It's valid. It depends on the day. It depends on the day, as I said. And it also, I learned that the more they comment, the more visibility I get. So I'm like, hey, thank you for giving me money. I sometimes reply like that. Hey, thank you for making my post viral through your hate comment. So you do love fat people. You're just in the closet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to schedule a time with you so you can teach me how to have good comebacks, because I just feel like fuck you, and then like that gets nowhere. Like
that's more than enough, though.
I need better comebacks. Monica, and I wanna ask you about joy, because we've started to talk about it a little bit. How do you choose joy? I mean, we've just been talking about how, doing this work is very challenging and it has a huge impact. So how do you take care of yourself? How do you turn towards joy?
I think I've become a master of finding joy in everything little. I lost my brother 5 years ago because of cancer. And when he passed away, he was 18. And I thought there was no future. I saw him struggling so much, and just, oh my, I don't know. I don't know anyone who wanted to live more than him. And he went through so many procedures and surgeries and everything just to be alive, that from that moment on, I don't know why I'm still alive. I'm like, in that moment, I didn't know, like, why not me? Because I think that's always a question, like, why him and why not me? Because he was younger, he had his whole life before him. So from that moment on, just waking up for me is like, oh wow, I didn't die. And being able to do the work I do. And I don't want to have a white savior complex, but, just to being able to change a little bit, 1% of your thought about fat people, or of how weight bias or weight stigma on fatphobia. If I can just make you stop for a minute and rethink what you were gonna say, for me, that's joy. For me to being able to put my content out there, to help people, to do this podcast, to get the message out there. I mean, for me, that's joy. And I have my self-care practices because I've learned to love myself. This is the only body that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. And this beautiful body have gone through moments that I thought I wouldn't make it, to so much things this body has get me through, even when I didn't want to. So just taking care of it and give it, the fuel that it needs, and the movement, the pleasure of movement. I mean, since I've been in this journey and I changed my whole focus and paradigm, I didn't know you could enjoy exercise. I mean, you can go with a smile to the gymnasium. You can wear crop tops and leggings and you don't have to hide yourself. That's joy, And sometimes now I dance. My whole life, I wanted to dance, and my whole life, I was told I was too fat, so you cannot be in a dance club. And now I am in the place that I can pay for private lessons. So I go and I dance, and I kept it a secret for 1 year because I wasn't ready, just because I knew comments were gonna come. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe there's out there some little fat Monica who wants to dance, and she's been told that she can't because she's fat. And then I posted a reel, and actually I got a message from like hundreds of people like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna go spinning because I've been told that I cannot because I don't have the lung resistance. Or thin people telling me like, I cannot believe you just put up that reel. Like I am in a thin body and I wouldn't be able to post that. So that's joy for me. And that's another example on how weight stigma and fat phobia affects thin people, because even thin people are afraid. They're never gonna know how hard is the systemic oppression. Weight stigma, weight bias, and fat phobia is a systemic oppression. It's not a fight against thin people because I've been told that I hate thin people because I envy them. Baby, it's not about you. This is bigger. This is about a system. I know you think the world rolls around you, and I love that for you, but this is about a system. This is about an oppression, a systematic oppression. And that's joy. The knowledge I have now for me, it's pure fucking joy. It's like, damn, girl, you know that. Because after medical school, I was like, my brain is fried. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to learn anything else. After this, girl, I did.
Yeah.
That's joy.
Oh, pure fucking joy. Monica, you're pure fucking joy. This has been such a good conversation. Oh, I'm so glad that you're doing this work and that you're sharing it. And, yeah, you're having a huge influence. Like the fact that we're even talking is an indication of like what you're doing and how it's just spreading and becoming so, because I heard about you from someone who heard about you from someone, like you're doing it. That ripple effect is happening.
I was like, this amazing girl is in Canada. Like I'm not even in the same time zone. And it always amazes me, and it's, I assure you, it's not because, fame or anything. It's like my message, my sayings, I don't know, I'm starting the conversation, and I'm not the only one. There's so many people out there. So I'm just like, girl, we're doing something. Like I'm not talking to a wall. And sometimes it gets lonely, as I said, but I'm like, I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Absolutely.
We all fat activists are just gonna keep our work, and people are gonna just have to deal with it or jump on board or stay in their lane,
Exactly. Oh, thank you, Monica. It's been so wonderful to chat with you. Before we go, I'd like to read a poem because poetry can reach our hearts in a different way. Poems can have us feel in a different way. And that's what this podcast is all about. Expanding our hearts, deepening our empathy, and inviting in joy. So each week, you get a new poem. Doctora Monica Peralta is fiercely advocating for her patients and their right to weight-inclusive care. I loved how she talked so much about connecting people to their deeper understanding of their own body systems, connecting them back to their own bodies, which had me thinking about this poem called Sojourn Camino by Kate Marshall Flaherty. Past switchbacks of scree and pebbled paths, we will walk through the Pyrenees to the sacred place where incense swings. Somewhere we will leave a stone on a mound of rocks, walk and walk to the end of the sea, where we will throw our last shell back. The rhythm of footfall, femur, pelvis, and rocking sacrum will soothe and soften the knots deep in our thoughts, bodies, and bones. We hope this journey will bring us back to being the bipedal creatures we are, nomads on this land, hunters of beauty, gatherers of stories, who will seek still to love. Even as we domesticate and cultivate, we are wanderers, our steps as numerous as the stars. We were made to walk softly on this earth, leave a trace imprint in sand, soon washed away, under other souls treading the same sacred roots. We are walking to arrive at the rhythm's beginning. Thank you for joining me today. My hope is that you're feeling a little less alone and a little more seen. So until the next episode, you can find me on Instagram at fatjoy.life, on YouTube at youtube.com/@fatjoy, and on Patreon at patreon.com/fatjoy. Please do check out the show notes for how you can connect with my amazing guest and for the links to the poem. All right, lovely. I am sending you off with my best wishes for an abundantly Fat Joy day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye-bye.